In Denver's Afternoon Rush, KLZ 560. Lindsey Singer joining us in just 1 minute here from Colorado Rising Action. In the meantime, Charlie handed me an article about Nancy's. This is an old article, by the way, but Nancy's in-flight food and drink costs. This is from several years ago, by the way.
Which even makes it worse if you ask me.
Says, paid your taxes on time? Good, because Nancy Pelosi needs you to pay her tab. Documents uncovered via a FOIA request show that Pelosi racked up over $101,000 of taxpayer of $101,000 in taxpayer dollars for in-flight services. And by services, she clearly means alcohol. Look at the booze on this receipt that's pictured here, and it's mostly all alcohol. But she also wanted fresh flowers on every flight.
Hold it 1 second. All right, so there may be good reason for this. So are there other people that have to travel with Nancy?
No, you do not need booze for that, then.
You do. And you want something good to look at, you better bring the flowers.
Because the more booze you have, the better she looks. Right?
Or at least when you get started, you can look at some pretty flowers.
There you go. All right. Lindsey Singer joining us now. Lindsey, welcome. Colorado Rising Action. How are you today?
Hi, Lindsey.
Hi, I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing very well. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So we talked a little bit about what's going on nationally. Let's talk now about what's going on locally. So the Colorado Ethics Commission announced that it will continue to investigate 5 complaints against former Governor Hickenlooper, who has so far been able to prove that he followed Colorado ethics rules in certain instances. What are some of those?
Yeah, so the ones that he proved, he was able to show some travel receipts that he paid for a couple trips. But the ones that are still out there, he's had more than enough time to show that he didn't violate any of the ethics rules, which includes getting flights on private jets to, I think it was like Jackson Hole, and there were a trip to the East Coast, and a few instances where he got flights as gifts and didn't report it and couldn't show that he paid for it. And so that's against Colorado's ethics laws, and I'm glad to see that some of those are still moving forward because it shows that the system is working.
Okay, so if you would, for everybody listening, because even I don't know every single thing that our state governor is supposed to do or not do, what is it he needs to do if he's invited on some trip, whether we're as a state paying for it or not paying for it? How does that work?
Yeah, so he's not allowed to accept a gift over, I think it's a pretty small amount. I believe it's $150. Don't quote me on that. But so if it's an amount over that, he just needs to show that he's reimbursed it or paid for it. Yeah, that's basically it, and he's not above the rules. So
all right, so I just want to make this clear to anybody out there that had a gift of maybe $150 or more and now don't know who to give it to. John and I are right here.
We'll take it.
We'll take
That's right.
it. We're right. Cassie will be in on that too. We're good.
So real quick, one of the trips, which I think is interesting, was a private jet from April 8th through the 10th to Texas, where he officiated the wedding of Kimball Musk, Elon Musk's brother. So even though he went to do a wedding for someone else, because he was chartered on a private jet, that's against Colorado ethics.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that the jet was owned by one of the Musk brothers.
No. Hold it. Hold the
What,
phone.
Dan?
Hold
What?
the phone.
What?
Now, isn't that some sort of a bribery thing, too? I mean, here the guy is trying to turn us into California with all these green energy initiatives, green cars, this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
And then you got Musk. He's flying down to officiate a wedding for a Musk.
Yes. That's a conflict of interest,
that seems
basically.
like a huge conflict of interest. Not only that, they should have taken one of his stupid electric cars and not left such a big carbon footprint
Driven?
that a private jet would use.
They should have done a Tesla
leave.
drive.
Yeah.
All very excellent points. Yeah.
So where online, or is there, Lindsey, the availability for us to look at what kind of rules in regards to Colorado ethics with politicians?
That's a great question. I think you could Google Colorado ethics laws. To be honest with you, I've mostly just kept up on the reporting. Was a good story in Colorado politics, so that's where I'm getting my information. Because
I'm guessing that this is true probably with any state office, right? Not just the governorship, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, so anybody that's employed by the state, there are certain rules that govern what they can and cannot accept when it comes to certain perks, I guess I could say, correct?
Yep.
Okay, all right. And by the way, here, folks, here's a few of these. We have an expense from a June 2018 Heidelberg meeting in Turin, Italy. A private jet flight on March 15, 2018.
No.
What?
Bilderberger meeting.
Yeah, I know. That's what. Yeah, Bilderberger meeting.
What do they call it?
A Bilderberg meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bilderbergers.
And then they've got a private jet from March 15, 2018, related to the commissioning of the USS Colorado. Okay, now that one, okay. Well, but again, even though it's the commissioning of the USS Colorado.
Okay, but has he not heard of United? Has he not heard of Frontier?
Yeah, keep in mind, this is a private jet. Now, you'd have to ask yourself, Lindsey, and again, I guess, Lindsey, what you guys are looking for, what we're all looking for, is just tell us what you did and how it was handled and paid for, right? That's what we're asking for, correct?
That's right. And a note about the trip to Italy, he did show that he reimbursed for the flight, but the point is that entire trip was paid for. It was completely free, and it was a meeting in Italy with public officials and lobbyists and all that kind of stuff. So he hasn't showed that he paid in any way for that conference and meeting.
And let's not forget, he went and kissed the ring. He went to the Bilderbergers. That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Another one, he went to on a private flight January 10th from New Jersey to Colorado, a private flight on August 11th to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and then one we just talked about with Kimball Musk. So here's a question for you, Lindsey. If he's not able to prove, what these trips were about, who paid for them, and so on, what happens?
I believe he needs to reimburse for those trips in the case that
and if not, I mean, he's no longer governor, so it's not like he's going to lose the governorship or anything along those lines. I mean, if he doesn't, does he go to jail? Does he get prosecuted somehow? How does that work?
Yeah, I don't think he goes to jail. I think it's sort of just like a black mark on his record, and he's running for president. I mean, I think we all know that, so that's something we'll continue to talk about. He can't act like he's above the rules when he's running for president.
Lindsey, he's a Democrat.
He is above the law.
The rules do not apply. I mean, if Hillary Clinton could get away with the major stuff she did, this is minor in comparison. This is nothing.
Yeah, we just got to dog them. Don't stay on it, to your point, Lindsey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. One thing I want to mention, too, real quick. You can actually go to, and you can talk about this, Colorado Rising Action. You can go to you guys' website, which is coloradorisingaction.org. And from there, Lindsey, people can sign up and get email updates and other things on a daily basis as to what's going on, correct?
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned that. So coloradorisingaction.org, you click the Get Involved tab, and you'll get on our email list so we can stay in touch.
Perfect. Okay, and if it's what I did, same deal. So I get updates from you guys on a pretty regular basis as to what's going on, and I would encourage all of you out there listening, please do so. You will get some of the what I call inside baseball when it comes to what's going on in these particular types of areas. You'll find out pretty quickly what's happening and be able to stay on top of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we have time, I'd like to talk about something that happened with Tabor this week.
Go for it. Do it. Yeah, no, I wanted to as well. Go ahead.
Okay, great. So what happened this week is a win for Coloradans. So the title board, which is basically three people who decide what gets put on our ballot, they voted down a proposal to completely repeal Tabor. So someone was trying to put that on our ballot, and they voted it down because of the single subject law, which means that anything put on the ballot has to have to do with only one subject and no more.
Got it.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really
good. It's very good. Tabor is extremely important, and we know that the left is trying to repeal Tabor.
Yeah.
This was a very blatant full repeal, but they do other things. This won't stop the efforts to work around Tabor or to repeal parts of Tabor. So the fight's not over, but it was definitely a win this week to see the board shoot that down.
No, and to your point, that's why everybody needs to subscribe, because to your point, Lindsey, it's not over. We're going to see more attacks on Tabor. And Tabor's a good thing for us. It keeps spending in check. Not totally in check, but, man, it would be run away without it.
Yeah, and with Democrats in complete control of our state government, it's more important now than ever to make sure we still have it.
Yep. All right. Good stuff.
Good stuff, Lindsey.
Lindsey, thank you very much. And, again, what's your website so folks can go there and subscribe?
coloradorisingaction.org.
Thank you, Lindsey. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.